Woodshop, 3301 Salisbury Highway in Statesville. Lil Shavers Woodshop, LILshavers.com.
All right, everyone, welcome. How you doing today? Is everybody recovered from, well, a horrible Brickyard 400? I'm not. To be very honest. I'm still upset. We might not get into it today because I don't want to just continue to harp on something that really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter because it's NASCAR, all right? The rules are made up. The points don't matter. Welcome to the Scoreboard, everyone. 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. I'll tell you what, we have a good one for you here today, even though we're done with NASCAR for a little bit. Yeah, it pains me. It does. Because I love NASCAR. I love it. But we're done for 2 weeks. We got 2 weeks off. You probably know why we have those 2 weeks off. It's because the Olympics opening ceremonies are on Friday. But there's some competitions before Friday. So we will go over some things to know with the Olympics, with the Olympic schedule. Because games start tomorrow. Yes, you heard me correct. The opening ceremonies are Friday. But we kick off with football. That's soccer. At 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. We're also going to talk a little baseball today as the season continues. Shohei Ohtani putting up big numbers, hitting his 30th home run of the year. NFL news. Yeah, it's time to start looking into the world of football. You know, I told you guys not that long ago that the summer was when the NFL really starts to step aside and let some of these other sports get some headlines. And we've seen other sports in the headlines. We've seen soccer in the headlines. We've seen baseball from the All-Star game. The WNBA is making headlines with the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year debate. The All-Stars versus the women's national team that's going to be competing in the Olympics. There's a lot going on. Well, as we near the end of July and get towards early August, the NFL is about to come roaring back. And what better way for the NFL to come roaring back than for some of the news that has dropped earlier today? I'm going to get into this a little bit more, but I've been harping on this for months and months and months now. We are getting to a spot where the NFL and the NFLPA are now talking about an 18-game schedule. Like, seriously, realistically talking about an 18-game schedule. And I'm telling you now, it's going to happen. And it's going to add a second bye week to the schedule. And then once they do that, guess what? The Super Bowl is going to be on President's Day weekend. We'll all have that Monday off. There's no need to petition the government to make Super Bowl Sunday a national holiday. They're going to try to get it on a week that people have off that Monday anyway. Now, my question is, why are they going to do that? Now NASCAR has to push their season back a little bit. Maybe NASCAR reduces their season a little if it keeps getting pushed back. We're already going to be racing into early November. Anyway, 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. That's 844-788-3464. Now, I told you I wasn't going to talk too much about NASCAR, but I do want to bring it up because I listened to pretty much all of Denny Hamlin's comments on his podcast after the race. And earlier today, I listened to the podcast. He makes some really good points. And my biggest takeaway from this is everybody is upset with NASCAR. The drivers are upset with NASCAR. The team members are upset with NASCAR. The fans are upset with NASCAR because there isn't the slightest bit of consistency in what they do. Car around on the backstretch in the fence. We're not going to throw the caution till they take the white flag. It's a mess. It really is a mess. We had the same thing happen at Pocono. I don't think anything's really going to change here with how this race ended. But one thing that needs to change is no race ever, no matter what. I don't care if the leader is an inch away from the start-finish line. No race should ever end under caution. That's how you fix this. Plain and simple. Either that, you got to go one of two extremes here. Either no race can end under caution and we will add as many green-white checkers as we need to, or there should not be any green-white checkers. You race to whatever lap it is, even if it's under caution. Now, I would prefer the first option because I don't think any race should end under caution. And if you just say, we're cutting you off at 400 miles, 160 laps, you're going to have races end under caution. Super speedways will end under caution, short tracks. You know how many late race cautions we've had this year? And rightfully so, Ryan Blaney is not happy. I get why he's not happy. He was not a lucky guy on Sunday, but nothing's going to change. And I continue to listen to comments about the officiating of this race. Man, Denny Hamlin did not have nice words for Elton Sawyer because they said that they did everything they could to get this race to finish under green when they obviously didn't. Ryan Preece went on to Twitter, X, I should say, earlier today to clear the air. And he said, hey, guess what? I was out of gas. I had no gas. And when you look at Chase Elliott's onboard, you can tell he's out of gas. In the middle of turn 2, the car just stops. But yet NASCAR said, we'll see. We'll wait and see if they do get going, even without gas in the car. I'm tired of the manipulation by NASCAR. That's all they do is manipulate races, whether they want to or not. And I get that sometimes they're in tight positions, but this was not one of them. This was an easy decision. Throw the caution before the leader takes the white flag, because guess what? He wrecked while you were on the backstretch. That's plenty of time to make a decision. But they didn't do that. And now we have controversy. We always have controversy with NASCAR. Whenever it's a decision that has to be made by them, there's going to be controversy. There's a lot of people that are unhappy. I'm unhappy. Like I said, drivers, crews, fans. But yet, it was a crown jewel race. So that's my last little piece that I want to say about the Cup Series at Indianapolis from Sunday. I don't know if anything's going to change. I don't know if NASCAR is going to finally decide to be better, but something needs to be done because it's disheartening when you see the things that you see that NASCAR does. I'm still waiting for Dale Jr.'s podcast to drop. I want to know what his thoughts on this race are. When we come back, we're going to move on from the world of NASCAR. I promise we're going to get into the Olympics, some NFL news, some MLB stuff going on. You're going to want to stay tuned here on the Scoreboard. We'll be back right after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, summertime storms are funny, aren't they? Several folks with several inches of rain over the last week or so, and some with barely even an inch. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles this time of the year. That is muggy as it gets, too, with a round of scattered showers and storms for this afternoon and this evening. As overnight low temperatures stay muggy, only dipping down into the mid-70s. For our Wednesday, and we're rinse and repeats. Muggy, mid and upper 80s, scattered storms for the afternoon. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
The WSIC app is available now wherever you get your apps, featuring local deals from great local businesses like iCats Public Transit.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live continues their free music series on Thursday. 2 months ago, Ghostface Brewing and Waves Entertainment hosted the Battle of the Bands. The champion that night, Fortune 5, makes their Langtree Live debut this Thursday, July 25th. Come on out to Langtree Lake Norman to see and hear the Battle of the Bands champion, Fortune 5, this Thursday with music beginning at 7 p.m. The Live Under the Oaks concert series continues on Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Come enjoy the music of the Highway with their dynamic and high-energy show. Red Rocks will have beverages on site, and the Birkdale restaurants are ready for your dinner service. Bring your chairs and blankets for the Highway concert at Birkdale Village on Friday, beginning at 6 p.m. The 8th annual Dog Island Jam takes place this Saturday on Lake Norman. Star from The Voice, John Sullivan presents the summer's must-see concert. Waves Entertainment will bring a stage, sound system, and LED walls to, you guessed it, an island on Lake Norman. Sully and Friends headline the concert on Saturday. Untie your boat or call your friends with boats and enjoy the Dog Island Jam concert on Lake Norman this Saturday. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway reaches the series finale. The 10-race series title night is on Tuesday, July 30th, with NASCAR night sponsored by the NASCAR Hall of Fame. See the champions crowned and the legends and bandoleros. Don't miss the next generation of racing superstars honing their skills and rising through the ranks. Gates open at 5 p.m. with the green flag waving at 6. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
At Bunch Johnson Funeral Home, our service to families is second to none. We're here for you when you need it most. Let us help you focus on healing. We'll handle the rest. Bunch Johnson Funeral Home.
The number one station for people who say we're their favorite station.
WSIC.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right, welcome back. We're done talking about NASCAR, I promise. I promised you, and we're going to move on. The NFL and the NFLPA are currently talking. Not like as I speak talking, but they are currently in conversations on an... Excuse me, I just choked on something. They are currently in conversations on the possibility of an 18-game schedule. Yes, you heard me correctly. 19 weeks. It would be 20 weeks, considering they would add another bye week. And I'm telling you right now, they would add another bye week. It's not like it's a possibility. It's no, if we're going to do 18 games, we need 2 bye weeks. I personally would love if they did something like, yeah, we're going to do 18 games, but nobody can play more than 17, including your quarterback. I think that would spice things up a little bit, right? Better make sure you have a good backup quarterback. It could be the difference between you making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. I think that would be cool. I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to limit how many regular season games a player can be in. But I do think that would be an interesting idea. So the report is that the NFL Players Association and the NFL have had discussions at a very high level over potentially adding an 18th regular season game to the schedule. The executive director of the NFLPA, Lloyd Howell, told that to the Washington Post. Here is the quote. we have talked at a very, very, very high level superficially with a recognition about, yeah, this is something that we should be talking about. This is an interesting quote. And we should really kick the tires and understand what else goes into that decision-making process. Where does the 18th game come from? I think that the foregone conclusion is, well, you just grab it like in what would otherwise be a preseason game in August. You pay it forward. Now, I've said that if they add an 18th regular season game, we may see the reduction of preseason. But considering the way injuries have gone over the past few years and the way that offensive production specifically over the past 2 years has gone down, I think that they would either keep the current amount of preseason games or somehow change it up a little bit, because preseason, as much as the fans might not like it because it doesn't matter, it is important to these teams and these players because they need to get ready for the regular season. That's when your 7th round picks, your undrafted rookies, that's when they can show what they're made of and possibly make the roster of 53. Well, when you take away those games, you take away those opportunities, those players, number one, can't showcase their skill set. And number two, the offense as a whole doesn't really have time to get a rhythm going and figure out how we're going to play this year. So I would say if I'm the NFL or if I'm the NFLPA, start it up early. 3 preseason games, 1 bye week in preseason, and make it week 4. The 4th, we used to have 4 preseason games. Make it 3. Use what would be a 4th preseason game as a rest week. Then you go into week 1, and you have 2 bye weeks. Now, I kind of like Joe Burrow's idea where you have 1 week off in the NFL where nobody's playing, and you rotate the other bye week wherever you want, kind of like how they do the 1 bye week now. I think that is a good idea. I don't know if they'll do that. Something about competitive fairness is going to be brought up if they go that route. But an 18th game is a reality. Now, I wonder if the players are okay with this. I mean, if the NFLPA is saying that they are having talks at a very high level, I'm sure that there's a lot of players who are okay with this. Howell said the NFLPA would be open to potentially adding an 18th game before the league's current collective bargaining agreement expires after the 2030 season. The CBA mandates that any changes to the length of the season would need to be collectively bargained. The simple fact of the matter is that when you have a growing enterprise and there are opportunities within that period of time, you could tweak the existing CBA. Why wouldn't you want to do that? We talk about contracts a lot and, oh yeah, but they're under contract. Yeah, they don't matter. Nobody cares about contracts in sports. They're just kind of a rough framework of what things should be. Look at college football. They had a contract that said, hey, you cannot expand the college football playoffs until 2026. Well, guess what? We expanded to 12 now. So you really might see within the next 5 years another game added to the schedule. And it really wasn't all that long ago that we added the 17th game to the schedule. And I am curious about rules. Not rules, I'm sorry. Records. All-time single-season records. Because a lot of them were done under 16 games. Well, now we have 17 games, and we're thinking about adding an 18th game. Is it time to redo the entire NFL record book and say, here are your 16-game records, your 17, maybe not 17 because it hasn't happened in so long, but your 16 games record and your more than that records. Maybe you do keep the 17 because even one other game, 18, makes a big difference. Now, I like it. I thought 17 was a weird number because you're not going to have an even amount of home and away games. Unless you're going overseas, then I guess they kind of just compensate that and say, yeah, you're going to play 8 home games, 8 away games, and 1 neutral site game, which makes sense. But I think 18 games, look, nobody's going to complain about more football. Let's be honest. Nobody's going to say, oh, 18 games, that's way too many. Look at the other 4 more major sports. Hockey, 82 games. Basketball, 82 games. Baseball, 162 games. So 18, you can last 18 games. You can watch. Now, the only thing about an 18-game schedule that I would be concerned about is the competitiveness of the playoff picture. More games means, well, there's more opportunities for teams to fall off a cliff. And you see it in baseball a lot. You'll get to the second, third month of the season and you say, oh yeah, these teams here have no chance of making the playoffs. Look at the Rockies, look at the Marlins right now. Teams like that in baseball. Like they're not competing for the playoffs, but there's still over 60 games left to go in the season. And that's, a few teams that are already, number one, out of contention. And number two, they're just kind of there. They're playing for what? To develop, I guess? So there are a lot of questions when it comes to the expansion to an 18-game, 20-week schedule. Obviously, the biggest plus is when the season would end. Not the regular season, but when the Super Bowl would happen. If you add an 18th game and an extra bye week, you could get your schedule set to a spot where you always have the Super Bowl on President's Day weekend. The benefit to that, people will have Monday off from work. Some people, not all people, but isn't that true with every holiday? And I think the NFL wants that. I don't think the NFL is ever going to go to a Saturday Super Bowl. Saturday is not football. Saturday is football. It's just not professional football. Which I guess soon I won't even be able to say that because the NCAA is going to be considered professional. But it is not for the NFL. Saturday is for college. I have a problem with Monday night being the college football national championship game. It should be on a Saturday, not on a Monday. You play your whole season on Saturdays. And then here we are doing a national championship game on a Monday. The NFL's not going to have their Super Bowl on a Monday or they're going to have it on a Sunday. And number one, I think the marketing behind the Super Bowl is too much to change it now. It's Super Bowl Sunday. Like Super Bowl Monday just doesn't have the same ring. Or Saturday, Super Bowl Saturday. So it's Super Bowl Sunday. I think this could really be good for the NFL. Obviously, they're going to get more money, more games, more money. You're probably going to see new teams added to the NFL soon, maybe one overseas, maybe a division overseas. I'm not quite sure how they'd want to do that. But we are in an interesting time right now with the NFL, as even though they're the biggest sports league in North America, they still have opportunity to grow. And there is still a want to grow. So it's going to be very interesting to see where the next few years takes us in the NFL. We are on a crash course, though, for a 18-game, 20-week schedule. It's just a matter of when. And it sounds like before the end of 2030. 2030. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this here on the Scoreboard.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, summertime storms are funny, aren't they? Several folks with several inches of rain over the last week or so, and some with barely even an inch. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles this time of the year. That is muggy as it gets, too, with random scattered showers and storms for this afternoon and this evening. As overnight low temperatures stay muggy, only dipping down into the mid-70s. For our Wednesday, And we're rinse and repeats. Muggy, mid and upper 80s, scattered storms for the afternoon. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Parents can find a quality classical Christian education at Headwaters Academy. For more information, the phone number is 704-876-1520.
Prioritizing your health is one of the best ways to take care of yourself. From routine visits to the joys of pregnancy to the illnesses that stop you in your tracks, Iredell Health System will be by your side. Learn more at iredellhealth.org.
Rev up your dreams with a bike from Tilly Harley-Davidson. Whether you're new to Harley or a seasoned pro, Tilly has the bike for you. Come experience the freedom of the ride. Feel the thrill of the road and the thunder that only a Harley can provide. Stop by Tilly Harley-Davidson of Statesville or go to tillyhd.com.
Bob McIntosh here with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Serving this community has been a collective passion of our law firm since 1997. We offer the quality legal services and results you would expect from a large downtown firm, but with a personal, community-focused approach right here at home. The McIntosh Law Firm, your local legal resource.
To learn more about the McIntosh Law Firm, visit McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Are you 60 plus and love to travel? Introducing the Senior Travel Discount Network, brought to you by Low Cost Airlines. Call us anytime, day or night, and save up to 75% on your airline and hotel reservations. We can help you save a ton of money to fly almost anywhere. We have inside discounts on over 500 airlines and 500,000 hotels worldwide. And when you call and mention the discount code 60 plus, we'll give you an extra free night with your qualified air and hotel reservation. Now you can get the best prices on air and hotel reservations with your phone. We make it easy and fast for you to save money and book a trip. Remember, call the Senior Travel Discount Network, mention the discount code 60 plus for your free hotel night with your qualified reservation. Call now.
210-503-7591. 210-503-7. I'm Bryce Johnson with this Unpacking It Sports and Faith Minute. Everyone loves a great athlete who is dependable and someone you can always count on to show up. Knowing what to expect from a specific player is beneficial to coaches and teammates. But what about our own lives? When people assess the way we live, would they consider us dependable? When representing Jesus to others, dependability shows integrity and sets forth a good example for them to follow. We want to remain consistent in our faith as we showcase a trustworthy and reliable commitment to loving God and loving others. The Bible tells us, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. As we think about the dependability of our favorite athletes, let's be inspired to stand firm in the Lord by modeling a reliability and steadfastness that others can count on. I'm Bryce Johnson, and you can unpack that. For more, go to unpackingit.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Alphabet is setting the tone for Wall Street when it comes to advertising and the cloud after a blowout first quarter. And in the second quarter, its cloud revenue did beat estimates, but not by very much. For Tesla, profits last quarter came in lower than predicted. The company says it'll focus on cost reduction. Tesla doesn't see sales picking up much for the full year. UPS boosted its volume of package deliveries for the first time since the pandemic, but Wall Street didn't care, sending shares down 12%. It is shipping more packages than a year ago, but they're smaller. Shippers are using less expensive methods, no airplanes involved, and costs are up because of the Teamsters union contract. UPS is cutting prices to spur more business. Coca-Cola did the opposite. It expects better revenue growth for the full year because of those higher prices, 11% higher in North America. On Wall Street, losses of 0.1% to 0.2%. The Dow fell 57, the NASDAQ 10, the S&P 9. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
All right, everyone, welcome back. second half of the Scoreboard here on this Tuesday. Yeah, it's a Tuesday. It took me a second to remember what day it was. We got some interesting things here to talk about on the Scoreboard today. Number one, I want to get into the Olympics here, which we'll do that in a little bit. But also, we've been talking about the NFL and the possibility of a schedule that includes 18 games and 2 bye weeks. If you're doing the math over there, that is a 20-week regular season, and we already know how long the postseason is. I still say it's a good idea just because who's going to complain about more football? But, you know, the players, they have in the past said that they already think 17 games is too much. I don't know if there's going to be a change to how these teams manage their players in terms of, are they going to rest more often or what? But I still think 18 games is happening no matter what. One thing that's happening this week, NFL training camp is starting. Yes, every single team by the end of this week is going to be at training camp. The Carolina Panthers' first practice of the 2024 training camp will be held tomorrow at 9:30. Just so you know, all practices are at the Panthers practice field unless the team has said otherwise. And I have a couple of dates here. Back Together Saturday is going to be at Bank of America Stadium. That's Saturday, July 27th, this weekend. Fan Fest on Thursday, August 1st is going to be held at Clemson's Memorial Stadium. All other practices are at the Panthers practice field. So teams are reporting to camp. You know, the one thing that comes with that you're going to have to keep an eye on for the next couple of weeks are injuries. And it's one of my least favorite parts of the NFL season is when we get into the training camp time and all of a sudden you start hearing about injuries that are happening, season-ending injuries that happen early in training camp, like torn Achilles happen. We've seen that before, and we've seen it many times in the past. It's going to happen again. And I guess all you can do as a fan is sit there and hope that it's not your team. It's not one of your better players who ends up getting hurt. Right after this, we're getting into preseason football, and hey, we're less than 50 days away from the start of the NFL season. I think we're about 45 days away or so, somewhere around there. I don't have the number right off the top of my head. Practice is starting, training camp starting, and then NFL preseason right around the corner. The 2024 preseason begins Thursday, August 1st, with the Hall of Fame game between the Texans and the Chicago Bears. As always, that game is held in Canton. The Carolina Panthers' first game of the preseason is August 8th. Look, we're at the end of July. This is right around the corner. This is a month and a half away. The Panthers will be on the road taking on the New England Patriots in the first game of their preseason this year. I'll be covering everything about the NFL as it happens, including breaking news, like what was reported earlier today. Stafford. Everybody knows Matthew Stafford. He is reporting to training camp after he adjusted his contract a little bit. So just a little renegotiation of the contract for Matthew Stafford. There's other players that you're going to want to keep an eye on. Hassan Reddick was traded to the Jets in the offseason, and he is holding out because he wants his contract to be adjusted. Brandon Ayuk earlier last week requested a trade from the 49ers, a very good wide receiver, but he has said now that he will not be holding out of camp while he looks for a new contract. He will join the team. He's entering the final year of his rookie contract, and he's set to only earn $14 million. I know, only 14. He's seeking a long-term contract that aligns with the exploding receiver market, which currently boasts 8 players making north of $25 million a year. If your wide receiver is going to be your highest paid player, you better have a wide receiver that he can throw it to, which in my opinion is why we've seen this wide receiver market over the past few years absolutely explode. You know, players, every time they sign a wide receiver contract, it seems like, hey, this is the new highest paid wide receiver in the league. Hey, this is the new highest paid wide receiver in the league. It happens with quarterbacks a lot, but we've known the quarterback market has been shooting up after the past few years. Every time, like Patrick Mahomes signed an absolutely insane 10-year, $450 million contract, and he's not the highest paid quarterback anymore. Year by year, that is. Things are going to change, and things are going to change fast here as we go through training camp and approach the preseason. I don't know what the Panthers are going to be up to. Obviously, they have a lot of concerns over there. At least as the fans, we have a lot of concerns, considering they won 2 games last year. Bryce Young, how's he going to fare this season? There's a lot to think about with this NFL season. Almost like, every other NFL season. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the Panthers and the rest of the NFL. You know, we always cover that. And during the season, you get to listen to the Carolina Panthers right here on WSIC. I want to jump over to high school football, high school sports real quick. I received this from the NCHSAA, the North Carolina High School Sports Athletic Association. There were some good things that happened in North Carolina sports, high school sports, as I try to pull up this article here. The North Carolina High School Athletic Association saw a 4.7% increase in overall participation during the 2023-2024 school season. That is compared to the previous years. 208,000 students participated in sanctioned NCHSAA sports last year. Men and women's indoor track saw a significant increase. 21 schools were added to the women's program, 14 schools added to the men's program. The only sport that did not see an increase in participation last year was baseball. Every other sport that the NCHSAA has saw an increase in participation. We are right around the corner from high school sports starting back up. I thought it would be an appropriate time to bring up those numbers. I received this yesterday. A lot of people participating in sports, more schools adding more programs. It's a great time for high school sports. And they're about to be back underway here in a few weeks. We're going to head to our final commercial break of the day. We'll talk a little bit of Olympics, see what happened on this day in sports history. Don't go anywhere. One more segment. We'll be back right after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, summertime storms are funny, aren't they? Several folks with several inches of rain over the last week or so, and some with barely even an inch. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles this time of the year. That is muggy as it gets, too, with a round of scattered showers and storms for this afternoon and this evening. As overnight low temperatures stay muggy, only dipping down into the mid-70s. For our Wednesday, and we're rinse and repeats. Muggy, mid and upper 80s, scattered storms for the afternoon. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Langtree Live continues their free music series on Thursday. 2 months ago, Ghostface Brewing and Waves Entertainment hosted the Battle of the Bands. The champion that night, Fortune 5, makes their Langtree Live debut this Thursday, July 25th. Come on out to Langtree Lake Norman to see and hear the Battle of the Bands champion, Fortune 5, this Thursday with music beginning at 7 p.m. The Live Under the Oaks concert series continues on Friday at Birkdale Village in Huntersville. Come enjoy the music of the Highway with their dynamic and high-energy show. Red Rocks will have beverages on site, and the Birkdale restaurants are ready for your dinner service. Bring your chairs and blankets for the Highway concert at Birkdale Village on Friday, beginning at 6 p.m. The 8th annual Dog Island Jam takes place this Saturday on Lake Norman. Star from The Voice, John Sullivan presents the summer's must-see concert. Waves Entertainment will bring a stage, sound system, and LED walls to, you guessed it, an island on Lake Norman. Sully and Friends headline the concert on Saturday. Untie your boat or call your friends with boats and enjoy the Dog Island Jam concert on Lake Norman this Saturday. The Cookout Summer Shootout Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway reaches the series finale. The 10-race series title night is on Tuesday, July 30th, with NASCAR night sponsored by the NASCAR Hall of Fame. See the champions crowned and the legends and bandoleros. Don't miss the next generation of racing superstars honing their skills and rising through the ranks. Gates open at 5 p.m. with the green flag waving at 6. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets, details, and information. To keep up with all the events happening around the community and much more, including amazing local deals, download the WSIC News app today.
Temperatures are heating up, but the prices are cooling down at Randy Marion Ford Lincoln here in Statesville. How about this? Over $8,000 off F-150s. That's the XLT trim, that's the Lariat trim, that's the Platinum trim, that's the Limited trim. That is the Crew Cab, that is the Super Cab. You name it, Randy Marion Ford. We got it right here in Statesville at a big discount on F-150s. Again, over $8,000 off. Come see us today, I-77, exit 49B.
The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Just some fun stuff for you here on the Scoreboard. I was watching some highlights from a 2003 game between the Bills and the Giants, the NFL, Week 13. Drew Bledsoe got concussed in that game, and he still stayed in and tore up the New York Giants defense. That's never going to happen anymore. That was some old school football. Oh, you hurt your head? Get back in there. You're fine. You don't do that anymore. Not at all. Final segment here on the Scoreboard. 844-STUDIO-4 is the phone number. If you have something on your mind that you might want to chat about, I'll be here for about the next 10 minutes as we wrap things up on this beautiful Tuesday. Hopefully you're getting some rain. Hopefully you're being safe out on the roads. The Olympics are coming up. Opening ceremonies are on Friday. But guess what? There's going to be games being played before that. Competitions being held before that. The first game, men's soccer at 9 a.m., Argentina and Morocco, and Uzbekistan and Spain. Now, one thing you're going to want to keep in mind with soccer is that the Olympics are not an official FIFA event, which basically just means that clubs are not required to release their players for the Olympics. That is on the men's side. The women's side's a little different. It is a much bigger event for the women. But on the men's side, it is not an officially sanctioned FIFA event, so they don't really have their full squads. It's kind of evolved into this younger team the Team USA is going to be bringing out there. And I was looking this up today. I was like, wait a second, Team USA, they don't have a coach yet. Who is their coach? Well, it's going to be Marko Mitrovic, who has been a coach with the U.S. soccer team since 2022. And he was an assistant with Reading, the English Football League, and the Chicago Fire over here in the MLS. The women's side of things are going to be more important, in my opinion, because the full squad is going to be there. Now, Team USA, the women's national team, put up a pretty embarrassing result the last time we had a Women's World Cup. They didn't even make it to the championship game, to the gold medal game. I hope that they're able to turn things around with what they have out there. But I don't know. You see some players who were staples of this women's team. Carly Lloyd no longer playing. Alex Morgan did not make the team, no longer playing. So it is pretty interesting to see what this team is going to consist of. But I don't know. I mean, we used to have a women's team that was top of the ranks, number one in the world. Nobody could really compete with us. And then the last time there was a Women's World Cup, they got knocked off the throne. Spain ends up winning. Team USA not even in the gold medal game. I'm excited for the Olympics. I am. I always tune in and kind of keep an eye on what's going on. But I do find it interesting that it starts before the opening ceremony. So soccer and rugby are going to be going on tomorrow. And then on Thursday, you have handball and archery starting their competition. Rugby and football, soccer, that is, will still be going on. And then pretty much after opening ceremonies on the 26th, which is Friday, the next day is really when everybody starts competing. Rowing, tennis, swimming, everything. Beach volleyball, water polo, everything that you could think of pretty much starts on Saturday. But there are still events leading up to that. So keep an eye on it. If you're interested in the Olympics, competitions begin tomorrow. Opening ceremonies are Friday. The men's basketball team is expected to win gold. We hope that they do. Man, they almost lost to South Sudan over the weekend. That would not have been good had that happened. It would have been pretty embarrassing, in my opinion, because, man, Team USA losing to South Sudan, whoo, boy. Not great. Not great, in my opinion. We're getting close here to the end of the program. When we do that, we're going to get into this day in sports history, some things that happened today. Before we do that, I want to talk a little Major League Baseball. Not too much, because we are getting very close to the trade deadline. And I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. The deadline coming up on the 30th of July. So we are exactly 1 week away from the MLB trade deadline. And it's at 6 o'clock at night, which I find pretty interesting. We haven't seen a deadline that wasn't July 30th or July 31st at noon or 3 o'clock in quite some time. So it's a day earlier this year, and it's later in the day. So some things to keep an eye on. Remember last year when we were talking about Elly De La Cruz? He is putting up records in his first 200 games. He had a 40-40, 30-30 season. He's recorded 84 stolen bases, 80 extra base hits, and 83 walks through his first 198 big league games. According to Elias Sports Bureau, no other player in the modern era, which is since 1900, has put up 80 steals, 80 extra base hits, and 80 walks through their first 200 MLB games. So maybe you're not hearing from the Reds, but I just wanted everybody to know, Elly De La Cruz, we talked about him last year. He is legit. He is still a very, very good player. Quick update on the standings in Major League Baseball. The Baltimore Orioles have a 1.5 lead over the New York Yankees in the AL East. The Cleveland Guardians hold only a 4-game lead over the Twins and the Royals. The Astros and Mariners sit completely knotted up. Nobody leading that division right now. They're tied. Texas Rangers, your defending World Series champs, 4 games back. As we head to the National League, the Phillies have an 8.5-game lead over the Braves. Brewers hold a 5-game lead over the Cardinals, and the Dodgers, well, they are running away with it. They are as good as we thought they were going to be. They have an 8.5-game lead over the Padres. The Philadelphia Phillies, by the way, still have the best record in baseball, followed by the Orioles, Guardians, Dodgers, and Yankees. We'll talk more baseball here throughout the remainder of the week. Right now, though, as we only got a couple of minutes remaining on the program today, it's time to get into this day in sports history. On this day, quite some time ago, and I'm talking 1925, Lou Gehrig hit his first career grand slam. He would end up having 23 career grand slams in his time as a baseball player. He currently is second all-time behind Alex Rodriguez for all-time grand slams. It goes A-Rod, Gehrig, Lou Gehrig, and then Manny Ramirez, third most grand slams all time. Also on this day, relatively recently, I'd say, not like right around the corner, but the 2000 British Open, Tiger Woods won by 8 shots to win his first Open title, becomes the youngest player at age 24 to win all 4 major titles. Man, it seems like that was some time ago. It really does. I wasn't around for it, but 2000, man, long time ago. Tiger Woods, dominant. Also on this day in history, George Brett, Kansas City Royal legend, recorded his 1,000th career hit. And then 4 years later, by the way, that was 1979. And then 5 years later, Dan Quisenberry gets his 200th career save. Those things all happened on this day in sports history. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in on this beautiful Tuesday. Hopefully, everybody listening made it home safely. Having a great night. I will be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. You already know. I'll be here rocking with you guys on the scoreboard. Until tomorrow, have a good night, everyone.
Serving you better than ever before. 105.9, 100.7. WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.